really, I got two objectives when it comes to this. First one is to inform you about what is going on. The second one is just to chill out. Just take it easy. This is going to be good for our kids. This graduation pathway is good for our kids. It's a much better system than we've had in the past where kids had to take a test to pass and graduate from high school. But currently there are 3 ways to graduate from high school. Now that's going to change with the class of 2023, all right? But with the current kids in the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, there are 3 ways to graduate from high school. Number 1 is the traditional path. You take one of those diplomas, okay, the General Core 40, either one, the academic honors or the technical honors, and then the IB diploma. You do all those requirements, you pass those classes, and you pass the I-step, okay, and you're good, all right? So that's one way. So that is the traditional way. So if you've done that, you're in high school, you're good, you passed it in 10th grade, you're fine, it doesn't make any difference, all right? The second way is to apply for a waiver, okay, and I apologize, but number 2 is off the edges there, but number 2 is to apply for a waiver. Now there's one waiver right now, basically the waiver that will be good through June 30th, 2022. So that would be for the current freshman class. Okay, for the current freshman class, it takes you all the way through that. The 95% attendance rate, okay, C average and required courses, and it goes down the line like that. The problem with the waiver is that if you have too many waivers, if you have above 10%, the Indiana Department of Education comes knocking on my door. Okay? I don't like that. Okay? I want them to just flat ignore us. Okay? Not even maybe know we exist. Okay? So that is the way. Now we're about 5 to 6% maybe at getting the waiver. At least we were last year. With the new I-step being in place for this year's senior class, we might have more, but I think we've figured out ways to where that won't happen. Okay, so that is with the waiver right there. So basically, whatever happens, okay, there will be a waiver process for graduation if a test or a benchmark is not hit. Okay, so 2 ways that I've gone over so far. Number 1 is the traditional way. Number 2 is the waiver. All right. Now this kind of gives you a flow chart here. I know that's difficult to see. The print didn't come out as well as I wanted to, but everybody in the 10th grade year will still take what we call a GQE. So those that are fresh, those that are current freshmen, they will still take that GQE, that graduate qualifying exam, or the I-step. They will take that their 10th grade year. All right. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't say, you know what, we're not going to take I-step anymore. Everybody's going to do graduation pathways. I can't do that by law. Okay. Now, once they take I-step, I can steer them away, but everybody has to take that I-step in the 10th grade. So really right there, they take that. If they pass, then they meet graduation requirements. If they don't, then they go and they retake it. Okay, and they don't, then they retake it. They retake it again. And then in the 12th grade, then we start looking at graduation pathways. So here's the third way. Okay, is beyond the normal, traditional thing that we're used to, of a student passing the I-step and doing all those graduation requirements for a certain diploma and the waiver. There is now another option for the kids in high school. Now, once the kids that are currently in high school graduate and the current 8th graders get to be in high school, then there will be only one, and that will be the graduation pathways. Okay? Once again, and there's a lot to that. So I got a lot to unpack. All right, so right here, this will replace all graduation requirements in the class of 2023. All right, but if you're in high school and you don't want to do the first 2, I want to get away from the waiver. I don't want kids graduating with the waiver. I would rather them go with the traditional way of passing the I-step or this pathway component. And we've already started with the seniors on this pathway component. Okay, but it may be applied to students currently in high school, but must satisfy all components. All right. The number 3 is big in this. Okay, so there's currently 3 ways to graduate from high school, and the graduation pathways is the 3rd, and the graduation pathway has 3 components. Okay, there's 3 components. All right, so we'll get into this. 3 components of the graduation pathways. Number 1, this is very simple. It meets the statutory defined diploma credit for any of those diplomas. So you pass all the classes that you're supposed to get one of those diplomas up there. We offer 5 at Floyd Central. Okay, simple, very simple there. You passed all the classes, you do that, you checked off box number 1. And those of you that have that paper, can I borrow yours for just a second? Okay, this paper right here that says high school diploma, when I say box number 1, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's box number 1. That's easy. Everybody understands that, at least right now. Now, I know it's complicated once we start talking about what's required of each diploma, but that pretty much takes care of that. Now, number 2 is they have to, this is box number 2, is they have to learn and demonstrate employability skills. All right, you say, well, what's that mean? Well, the state, when they were coming up with this whole idea of graduation pathways, is they wanted kids to be able to take something from high school and put it towards some sort of marketable skill. All right, so are they doing something? Do we have a record of kids doing something that makes them employable, okay, or at least prepared for the real world? So there's a couple of different things. There's 3 different things that they can do, and these are pretty vague, okay, but I go into a little bit more detail on the other sheet of paper that I gave you. Okay, that is, yeah, that one right in there. Okay? The employability skills. Now, they only need to meet one of these requirements. They don't need to meet all 3. So either project-based learning, service-based learning, or work-based learning. Okay, now lots of things could figure into this. Okay? I'm going to go to that up here. Okay, and I know that's tough to see, but you guys have that with you. The project-based learning, completion of a course capstone. So it could be something like Project Lead the Way. You complete the course capstone there in the 4th year, you're good. Okay? Complete some sort of research project. Perspective on research or other with approval from the State Board of Education. You could say, well, is it okay what if I take this class? Can a class do that? If I take a certain course? And the answer is yes and no. So if that course, for example, has some of the components that this project-based learning would have in it, then that would be fine. And the state has a list of course and requirements and guidelines for that. Okay? That, I think, is a little more difficult than doing something like this. So your service-based learning, engagement in a school-based activity such as a co-curricular or extracurricular activity or sport or other approved by the State Board of Education. Did you play a sport? Yes. You're good. Yes. Now, that means we're going to have to do some more things maybe with our sports, because a lot of our athletic teams or clubs or activities, say like theater or things like that, they do some service projects. They go out and they do community service and things like that. So we might have to beef that up a little bit. Okay? But sports would count for this. Okay? Sports would count for this. The same thing. Yes. That's okay. Band, yes, absolutely. Band would work. Yeah, that's a co-curricular activity. So there's lots of things. I mean, that's why I didn't make a slide for all the things that we count, because there's too daggone many of them. This, I think, is going to be the easiest thing to do. I honestly think that. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you wouldn't have to do all 4 years either. Yeah. And then, so this is a form that we have. This is a form that we have right here. The people would, the sponsor or the coach or the employer would fill this out, sign it, we put it in the file, and we keep it. That's what it would be. Okay, now the next part, the other one, work-based learning, employment outside the school day. You got a job? Yeah. You got a job. Now, the state might come down with more stringent requirements for this, okay, but for the most part, you're going to be okay with things like that. Okay? So they just want to see, do you have employability skills? And the employability skills will go in one of those 3 categories, at least one of those 3 categories. Okay? So we don't want to make this a huge obstacle for our students. Okay? Nancy, do you have anything to add to that? I know you guys do a lot with the
I would
soft
just
skills.
say Dr. Norman and I have been in a lot of meetings where, you have people asking a lot of questions, and so we're going to be learning as we go with this, and Rob's absolutely right. I think, especially when you look at work-based learning, does your child have work experience? We have to do this with fidelity as well, so we got to make sure that we're doing our part, and we kind of joke a little bit, are they going to go out and babysit? Is that, works well? To the definition it is that, as Rob said, we anticipate there's going to be some more guidelines come down for that. In a little bit, I can give you some information about what Prosser actually offers too that can actually help with that, and you can get a check, and this part, and then the next part
actually right.
And that's
right
very
here.
fair to say. No.
This is Smarty Pants. Okay, so we've got that, and then we intend to make this, we don't want to make this burdensome, but it does have to fit certain criteria. That in a nutshell is what it is. They would tell us, I went to a conference last week and went to a session on this, they said you need to be sure that you don't abuse a certain part of this. Like don't abuse it, like don't get half your graduates to go to some manager at McDonald's and have them sign off on something. Okay, we're not going to do that. So we need to follow with fidelity, but I do not think that it is burdensome in any way, because most of the time we're getting kids ready for careers anyway. So there's something that your son or daughter is going to do throughout high school that is going to fulfill that requirement. Okay, so that is not meant to be difficult or burdensome or anything like that. Okay, now this is the third one. The third one, that's why it's the biggest box on there. Okay, because it is the most complicated. Okay, and has the most components to it. All right. One of the reasons they went to this graduation pathways is they wanted to get out of the retesting business, and the retesting business is a hassle. So, for example, we just retested every student or every junior and a lot of seniors that had not passed the I-STEP yet. We tested them this week and the week before Thanksgiving. We're going to retest them again in late February. Late February, then it goes into April. And then we're going to take AP testing in May. So it's a bunch. So the idea is they do not want you to get into the retesting business. So I'm going to get into the state test that they're going to talk about here in a second. But what they've done is let me back up. They're going to come up with some type of state test that will replace the I-STEP. The I-STEP has 2 more years. It has to the end of this year, and it has 1 more. So for the class of 2022, that's the last class that will take I-STEP. We do not know what that graduation or what that college readiness test will be yet. Okay, it could be the PSAT, which we already take. It could be the plan. You heard anything else, Nancy, about what that could be?
No, I just know that there's lots of discussion along with that. And if you ever have any input or you hear people talk about it, I think there's going to be more to come at the state board, that type of thing, and also the companies are making pitches where their test is going to be the best one. So
right.
More to come.
And I'm mainly referring to those in the class of 2023. Okay, if you've already passed the I-STEP, then this doesn't really apply to you. Okay, but if you haven't, there are things that you can do instead. So the idea is, if a student doesn't get the benchmark on the PSAT, if that indeed is the new state test that we give, then there's other pathways that they can explore. All right, there's quite a few of them. Okay, so they earn an academic honors diploma. They do that, they complete all the requirements. That's it. They're good. Okay. The problem is sometimes you don't know if you earn an academic honors diploma until the last day of your senior year. Okay, so you kind of want to have another component in your back pocket so you're not scrambling at the end trying to come up with something or having to take classes over the summer and all that stuff. Okay, these benchmark scores here on the ACT or the SAT, we give the ACT here, so kids will be able to do that, and they have to meet these across. Okay, if they take it more than once, they can mix and match those scores. They can mix and match. So if they they do poorly, they get a 22 on the science, and they take it again, they get a 25, then they're good. The SAT on the ELA or ELW, 480, and the math on the 530, and these are subject to change. So we don't know if these scores will change. They're kind of fluid. I don't know how much they'll change. They've been pretty consistent, at least since they've come out. So I don't know if they will change. The ASVAB, I know some of you guys might have had a son or daughter take the ASVAB. We gave that to seniors who had not passed the I-STEP. We gave that to them before Thanksgiving. Okay, the ASVAB score is it's more of a career sort of tester or aptitude test, and it is used by the military. By giving the ASVAB, though, we're not signing your son or daughter up for enlisting in the military. We're not doing that. Okay, there's a part where they can opt out. It is a pretty good career inventory of what it is that they could do, but that benchmark is reachable by a lot of our kids. Okay, and we will offer that again in the spring. We'll offer that again probably after March 1st is when we're going to probably have that again. Okay, so that is half of it. That's part of it there. And the next part here, this is probably what Nancy can speak to the most. Okay, these next two bullets, state in industry recognized credential or certification or something in a career technical education concentrator. So, Nancy, you want
Sure.
to take a line here?
I'm going to send some of these around. These are all the courses that Prosser has to offer. Pass those out. And I want you to have those because, first of all, I think if you've been in the community, you realize that, or maybe you haven't, Prosser is going to go into its 50th year next year, so it's been in the community for a really long time. But what a lot of people don't understand is exactly what courses we teach at Prosser, what type of opportunities we provide for students. First of all, one of the things that we do is we offer dual credits, earning college credit at the same time that you earn high school credits. What a lot of people don't understand or don't know and are pleasantly surprised to hear is that Prosser leads the state of Indiana. We give out over 7,000 dual credits in 1 year. And the place where I came from about a year and a half ago, I thought I was doing a really good job. We had about 3,000 dual credits, and I thought we were really doing it. Prosser's blowing everybody out of the water. Every career program except 2 programs are tied to a dual credit. Cosmetology, for example. If students qualify for dual credit, they can earn 30 credits in 2 years at Vincennes. They could go on to post-secondary, they could get a degree in business as well. We have dual credits offered in welding, construction tech, criminal justice. I could go on, and a lot of that is found on that paper. The other thing along with this is that you have to have a C or higher and 6 high school credits in a career sequence, okay? The key to that is a career sequence. So I'm gonna use welding as an example. If you have a son or daughter who is involved in Project Lead the Way, and I've been really trying to hit this home with a lot of people, the retention rate for students to go on to post-secondary, if they've had pre-engineering classes, drops dramatically if they haven't had a course where they've actually had to design, which they'll do in those 1-hour classes, but then take that design and put it together somehow. And if they don't have those skills, a lot of times they're like, no, that's not for me. So we really advocate for students to take a class like welding or electrical program, CAD or drafting, something like that to tie it all in together. If you take a career class at Prosser, you meet that requirement with the 6 credits, and you are what's called a concentrator. You have to have that, okay? The other thing is, if you go to one of our programs and you get a state license, cosmetology, CNA, that would qualify. The other thing that we offer are certifications, and you're going to hear a lot, probably in the news. I don't know how many of you heard yesterday that the city of Jeffersonville, for every college or high school graduate, they are going to pay for their students to go on to Ivy Tech, which is amazing, right? I saw on the social media, come on, Bobby, let's do this, you know, I think that would be wonderful if we could do that. But a lot of people don't know that that option is already there. Right now, we have a skills gap, a career gap going on. And so if you have a high school graduate, they meet all these requirements, they're getting certifications, they're coming to us, they're getting dual credits. Right now, they could go into one of the high demand areas at Ivy Tech and their college will be paid for. So that option is already there. You don't have to graduate from Jeffersonville High School to get that, okay? So those are some things you're going to be hearing about. We're going to fill that career gap. That's another reason why we went to Career Pathways. There was a big push for that in the state of Indiana at the state level to do that. As you look through the pamphlet, you'll see things like you'll see a UPS symbol on the back of that. We're really doing, in my opinion, an excellent job working with our sending schools, Floyd Central, and we're working with area businesses like UPS, and we're creating options for our kids. So we have a class right now where students come and they're also working at UPS. They can continue to work for UPS, and UPS is actually going to pay for them to continue post-secondary. So the other thing I want you to think about is Prosser is not just an option for a non-college bound student. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Prosser is for all students, but especially those that want to continue post-secondary, because we're getting them those connections in industry and businesses, also with institutions like Polytech, IUS, IU, Purdue. We're getting them those connections, okay? Anything on you think I'm leaving out?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of different programs there. That's the big thing, is there's so much there. Incidentally, a little statistic here. Our enrollment at Floyd Central, as far as our students that attended Prosser, dropped considerably in 2010. Does anybody know what happened here in 2010? Little Floyd Central trivia. Okay, that's when our renovation was completed. Okay, so the idea was, and I think this makes perfect sense, although it's not the case in every single situation, is that the kids see this facility, they want to stay here. Okay, they don't want to go to a facility that was built in the Eisenhower administration, right? Okay, they didn't want to take that. You could remember that. Okay, but anyway, so right now Prosser's it has a awesome renovation going on. Okay, it looks like things blew up there right now, but it's getting better. Okay, it is, and it's improving. So what I'm saying is our enrollment at Prosser, I think, will improve, and I think people need to keep in mind what is over there. It is much, much different than it was 25 years ago, when they're just to go into the job market right after that. It is for the college, it is for every student, just like she said.
And I would say to you, over the next year, if you ever want to stop in and visit, all sophomores came from Floyd Central to our building, and I think that they were pleasantly surprised. Now again, they're going to see, they're still painting the walls and they're doing things like that. But I would encourage all of you, if you ever have an interest, just please, call. We can take you around. We will have our open house the third Thursday of January. If you've never attended that, I encourage you to come to that evening, because it'll be completely open. We'll have all our programs going with students there during that evening, so that's definitely something for you to come and see. The other thing that I would like to say is I feel a little bit vested with Floyd Central. I'm a parent of a Floyd Central student and 2 future ones. My nieces went through this school. I'm very, it means a lot to me, and I see that my enrollment is high from Floyd Central students, because, I consider that my home base. And so I'd like for that to increase. So again, I encourage you to come out and see us. And it's definitely with Prosser courses, along with the great curriculum here at Floyd Central, you're checking off those boxes. But again, I try to preach to everybody, it's about giving your student options. I don't know how many of you, like I did, went to school and I was really trapped, and I had no say in what my courses would be. And so our students have a great opportunity with this, I think, to really explore those options before they go on and cost you a lot of money later on. So we're there to help you out with that.
So that is an option out there. So a kid that goes to Prosser is going to fulfill that pathway. It's going to have a lot easier. It's going to have it's going to be very simple for them to do that. And then we have the last component there. Last possibility is in an AP dual credit course. You got to earn a C higher in at least 3 courses. One of those has to be on the core transfer list, which just means it has to be like a math or a science or an English or something like that, okay, which most people do. Most of the kids that take those courses, although that's not always the case, do end up probably getting the benchmark score with the SAT out of it. Okay, so that gives you some options there. It gives you a lot of different things maybe to think about. I could have been a lot more complicated with it. There's a lot of state guidelines and things. A lot of this stuff is going to be a counseling issue. Okay, the counselor is going to get your student through this, and so a lot of work's going to go on them. A lot of the record keeping is going to be for them, and so we just need, as a school, to figure out what's the best way to navigate this and keep parents informed and steer kids in the right direction. So scheduling your student for the following year is, at least if they're a current high school student, is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. Incoming freshmen won't be that big a deal, because they take a lot of the same courses. It's pretty general. So with that, does anybody have any questions? I know I kept this open here. And by the way, this is going to be on WNAS. And I'll send out a YouTube link to this in a day or two. I also put the PowerPoint on the website. You go to Floyd Central under announcements, it's there. And I put a couple links. Don't go to the links that are on the PowerPoint, but go to the links that are just on the actual website itself. That works a lot better. I have those papers for you on that. Okay. Does anyone have a question maybe that maybe came up, maybe somebody to cover, maybe it was unclear? Yes?
The different testing platforms, what is the chance of failing
specific date on that, because it's the first time we've done that. I do know there have been several students that have reached the benchmark on the ACT because they maybe they've taken Algebra 2 since they've taken the I-STEP. That helps. They've got another year of English in, so that helps. So yes, there are chances for that. But I think there are other ways to do it. I think the best option would be probably for an academic honors diploma, or if they don't go or go to Prosper, one of those two things. Incidentally, 51% of the class of 2018 earned an academic honors diploma last year. So we've got a pretty good percentage of that. So good question. Yes?
Dr. Bowman, you mentioned under the post-secondary ratings and competencies, but there's also the option of a locally created pathway. Is that something that the school corporation is considering?
Yes, absolutely. We are looking at that. We're looking at one maybe in performing arts would be one. I think maybe something in the health sciences there.
Yeah, we are actually working on that right now. I know Dr. Jensen has been working with the director, regional director of career technical education, Mr. Alan Taylor. Alan and we've come together and working on that. And Ross White, like health sciences, we put that local pathway together. Obviously, that could go right into a process course like our general health engineer thing, branching out either into pre-nursing CNA or SPD. Dental, we have that. So we're looking at all those options right now. And it's actually a little bit more detailed than what you think. It's really out with all your classes. You got to try to figure that out how they fit into that.
Good question about the local pathways. So yes, we'll work those out. Those haven't been finalized yet, and we have to get state approval on those. Good question.
Since this is an Indiana, statewide thing, will these post-secondary ready competencies apply to college acceptance in other states, like say, career technical, say a child doesn't pass the ACT or SAT, but they do go to Prosser and fulfill that requirement, would they still be eligible to go to an out-of-state college?
Would they still be eligible to go to out-of-state college with some of these options that they have? Yes, and I think that's the whole point with this is that nobody looks at the I-STEP score in college. They're going to look at that. They don't care, and I say that kind of flippantly, but they don't.
That's good to know.
They really don't, and they're going to look at ACT, they're going to look at the dual credits that maybe you took, they're going to look at the essay, they're going to look at those things. And so actually, if you go this other pathway, you can use that. You can use this, you can take it somewhere, as opposed to just taking this test in the 10th grade that won't matter anymore. So that's another good thing about this option. I've never had a college person come up and ask me, what are that student's I-STEP scores? I just never have. Yes?
With the career pathway and a lot more schools than just New Albany going to Prosser, do they foresee that Prosser might become overfilled?
That would be a really good problem to have with it. I can assure you right now, we were a great beneficiary of the referendum. And so with that, if you come into our building here and see that we have built to accommodate if that were to happen. Right now, we're over about 1,400 students. That's split, though, between morning and afternoon. Absolutely. The other thing that Prosper is kind of planning ahead is that we're making connections with IDTech. We're making connections with, we already have Vincent's in our building. We're making connections with Oxmoor Auto Group, for example, in Louisville. They will actually come and pick up our students, take them over to the lab there for their work. They're getting that experience in the real life, and then they're actually bringing them back. And so we're making those connections to actually accommodate in hopes that we do really get that boost from that, because we do anticipate that not only Walking and Clay Central will be looking at this, obviously we serve over 22 schools, plus homeschool students.
You got a couple of programs that are kind of tight as far as numbers go. But
Yeah, we do. If you look at like our dental program right now, that's kind of a competitive program to get in. But we've also connected with dual credits and with IDTech, so we envision that. I think the traditional school, like you and I probably know, is where we are today. But I think with this type of situation, it's going to encourage a place like Prosser to think outside the box and to accommodate
might have us to get us another bus over there. Question is, will we host an ATC site in the school? No. We do it in the fall. We do it in the fall during the school day. So, yes. And now, with this, when this comes along, will we also host an SAT during the day? I don't know. We'll test that how much. I don't know. So, and if it becomes part of the state, when it becomes part of the state requirements, would we be required to do that? I don't know. But we do the ACT, and our kids tend to score better on the ACT than they do the SAT, on the average. ACT is more of an achievement test, and the SAT is more of an aptitude test. We get into semantics on that. But now the SATs become more like the ACT as of late. So now there's the new SAT. Testing. It's a multi-million-dollar business. Testing is. So those are good questions. Anything else? I can stick around afterwards, answer some questions. I know Mrs. Johnson and of course Nancy will, absolutely. But I appreciate you coming. We'll have another session like this, maybe on a completely different topic. But we appreciate you coming. And if you think of a topic that you think would be good to be covered, say something to me or say something to Peter. But have a good evening. And like I said, I'll stick around and answer questions. Thank you.